This effort is part of a growing scientific field known as de-extinction. Rather than simply preserving endangered species, de-extinction aims to recreate species that have already vanished. Advances in genetics, DNA sequencing, gene editing, and reproductive biology have made this idea increasingly realistic. The woolly mammoth has become the most famous candidate because researchers have recovered significant amounts of mammoth DNA from exceptionally preserved remains found in Arctic permafrost. The goal is not to clone a mammoth directly. No complete living mammoth cell exists, making traditional cloning impossible. Instead, scientists are comparing mammoth DNA with the DNA of the Asian elephant, the mammoth's closest living relative. Using gene editing technologies such as CRISPR, researchers hope to introduce mammoth traits into elephant cells. The resulting animal would not be a perfect mammoth, but rather an elephant possessing key mammoth characteristics such as cold resistance, thick hair, increased fat storage, and adaptations suited for Arctic environments. Supporters argue that this project is about more than scientific curiosity. They believe mammoth-like animals could help restore Arctic grassland ecosystems that existed during the Ice Age. During the mammoth era, enormous herds of grazing animals maintained vast grasslands across northern regions. As these animals disappeared, forests and shrubs gradually expanded across many areas. Some scientists believe restoring grazing pressure could help recreate parts of those lost ecosystems. This idea connects directly to one of the most important environmental concerns facing the world today: permafrost thaw. Permafrost is permanently frozen ground that contains enormous quantities of organic carbon accumulated over thousands of years. Large portions of the Arctic remain underlain by permafrost. As global temperatures rise, this frozen ground is beginning to thaw. When that happens, microbes break down ancient organic matter and release greenhouse gases such as carbon dioxide and methane into the atmosphere. The scale of this potential release concerns climate scientists. Arctic permafrost stores more carbon than is currently present in the Earth's atmosphere. Not all of that carbon will be released, but even partial emissions could significantly accelerate climate change. Scientists therefore continue exploring methods to slow permafrost thaw and protect frozen landscapes. Some researchers argue that mammoth-like animals could contribute to this effort. Large grazing animals compact snow during winter by walking across it. Thinner snow cover allows colder air to penetrate the ground more effectively, helping preserve permafrost. Grazing animals also remove shrubs and vegetation that trap heat. Supporters believe that restoring large herbivore populations could help maintain colder soil temperatures in certain regions. Experimental projects have attempted to test these ideas already. In Siberia, researchers have established a large-scale ecological experiment known as Pleistocene Park. Various grazing animals, including bison, horses, musk oxen, and reindeer, have been introduced to study whether large herbivores can help recreate ancient grassland ecosystems. Early results suggest that grazing can influence vegetation patterns and soil conditions, although scientists continue debating the scale of potential climate benefits. Yet, even if mammoth restoration proves technically possible and environmentally useful, profound ethical questions remain. The most obvious question is whether humans should bring extinct species back at all. Extinction has always been part of natural history. Species appear and disappear continuously through evolutionary processes. Some philosophers argue that attempting to reverse extinction crosses a line between conservation and biological engineering. Others respond that humans caused many extinctions directly or indirectly. Habitat destruction, hunting, pollution, invasive species, and climate change have contributed to the loss of countless species. If human activity helped eliminate species in the past, some argue that humanity has a moral responsibility to restore them when possible. The mammoth case is particularly complicated because the proposed animal would not be an exact mammoth. It would be a genetically engineered hybrid created using modern biotechnology. This raises questions about identity. If an animal contains mostly elephant DNA but possesses mammoth traits, is it truly a mammoth? Or is it an entirely new species created by humans? Animal welfare presents another major concern. Developing mammoth-like animals may require extensive experimentation. Scientists would need to overcome challenges involving embryo development, gestation, genetic stability, and long-term health. Critics worry that multiple failed attempts could create suffering for both surrogate mothers and experimental animals. The welfare issue extends beyond birth. Mammoths evolved in social groups with other mammoths. If scientists create only a small number of mammoth-like individuals, what kind of social environment would they experience? Elephants are highly intelligent, emotionally complex animals that form deep social bonds. Creating creatures without natural social structures raises difficult ethical questions about psychological well-being. Supporters counter that animal welfare standards are already central to modern research programs. They argue that careful planning, veterinary oversight, and gradual population development could minimize these risks. Some researchers envision creating entire herds rather than isolated individuals, reducing concerns about social isolation. Conservationists remain divided. Some view de-extinction as a distraction from protecting species that are alive today. Thousands of animals currently face extinction because of habitat loss, poaching, climate change, and environmental degradation. Critics argue that resources devoted to mammoth restoration might be better spent protecting elephants, rhinos, orangutans, and countless other species already struggling to survive. Supporters respond that de-extinction research often produces technologies useful for conservation. Advances in genetics, reproductive biology, embryo preservation, and species management may help endangered species directly. Techniques developed for mammoth projects could potentially strengthen efforts to save animals currently facing extinction. Economic considerations also influence the debate. De-extinction programs require enormous funding. Genetic research, laboratory development, field testing, habitat management, and long-term monitoring all involve substantial costs. Some observers question whether these investments can be justified given competing environmental priorities. There are also ecological uncertainties. Modern Arctic ecosystems are not identical to the environments mammoths inhabited thousands of years ago. Climate conditions, vegetation patterns, species composition, and human activity have all changed dramatically. Even if mammoth-like animals are introduced successfully, scientists cannot guarantee they will behave as expected or produce intended environmental outcomes. History offers cautionary lessons. Humans have repeatedly introduced species into environments believing they would solve problems, only to create new challenges. Rabbits in Australia, cane toads, invasive fish species, and countless other examples demonstrate how ecological interventions can produce unintended consequences. The Mammoth Project also touches on deeper philosophical questions about humanity's relationship with nature. Conservation traditionally focused on protecting existing ecosystems. De-extinction represents something different. It involves actively redesigning biological systems using advanced technology. Some view this as an extension of human responsibility. Others see it as a dangerous expansion of human control over natural processes. Public opinion remains mixed. Many people find the idea of seeing mammoths walk the earth again fascinating and inspiring. The possibility captures imagination in a way few scientific projects can. At the same time, concerns about ethics, safety, and unintended consequences remain widespread. The broader significance of de-extinction may ultimately extend far beyond mammoths. If scientists successfully recreate mammoth-like animals, similar technologies could potentially be applied to other extinct species. Discussions already exist regarding passenger pigeons, thylacines, and various lost amphibians and birds. The decisions made today may establish precedents for future biological restoration projects. What makes the mammoth debate unique is that it combines climate science, conservation biology, genetics, ethics, philosophy, and environmental policy into a single question. The scientific challenges are extraordinary, but the moral questions may be even greater. Humanity is approaching a point where extinction may no longer be entirely permanent. The ability to restore lost species creates responsibilities previous generations never faced. The woolly mammoth, therefore, represents more than a scientific experiment. It represents a test of how humanity chooses to use increasingly powerful biological technologies. Whether mammoth restoration succeeds or fails, the debate forces society to confront difficult questions about responsibility, intervention, and the limits of human influence over nature. For thousands of years, extinction was considered irreversible. Today, that assumption is being challenged. As technology advances, humanity must decide not only what can be done, but what should be done. The future of the mammoth may ultimately depend less on scientific capability than on how society answers that question. If you enjoyed this deep dive into the forces shaping our future, be sure to explore our other documentaries examining the technologies redefining modern civilization. And if you want to keep exploring the biggest questions about science, power, and the future of humanity, make sure to subscribe to the channel and join us for the next journey into the unknown.